Hello, everybody. Round 7 done and dusted. Moving on to round 8, guys. Moley, Dicko, how are we, fellas? What a mixed weekend of results and officiating performances.
I'm good, mate. How are you?
Good, thank you, Moley.
Yeah, doing well. Yesterday or Monday, it was always set up for a para win, wasn't it? With the Moses 1-2
So
connection,
good.
Isaac and Mitchell. Isaac decimates the Tigers off the field, and then Mitchell comes and decimates them on the field. And yeah, that was, we've had plenty of upsets, but that was one I saw coming.
Yeah, what a return from Mitchell Moses. Is there any player in the comp that single-handedly boosts a side or lets down a side, whether they're in or out, than Mitchell Moses?
Mm.
Oh, he has to
Maybe
be right up
Cleary.
there. Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cleary and maybe Jerome Hughes. So I think
Yeah, their record's poor without him.
they're
Yeah.
the big three, aren't they?
Mm.
Yeah. Well, let's get stuck straight into our review, starting with the Dragons. Big Dizz pulled off that one on Thursday night. But I tell you what,
You're kidding.
I don't know how
That's one of the
the
worst games of footy
Seagulls
I've
got
watched.
they got within 2 points. The Dragons should have won that by a country mile. Is that a testament to the Seagulls being a good side regardless of playing poorly, or is that the Dragons just aren't that great?
Oh, yeah. Go on,
Yeah,
Molly.
to me, it's a bit of both, but it's also 3 losses out of 4 for Manly since the big DCE bombshell, and I don't
Mm-hmm.
think you can discount that as a factor. I'm hearing it's not a particularly, not so much unhappy, but the young players sort of feel lost. Their spiritual leaders come out and said, "I'm leaving," and the talks behind the try line aren't quite as inspirational from a bloke who, is got 1 foot out the door.
Yeah, I've heard that potentially some people might want him to step down as captain because he's not going to be there
Mm.
next season. So that's definitely a watch. There's no doubt that his form suffered since that decision, and conversely, obviously, Manly's form's been up and down. The Dragons are going to be like that all year, I think. They're going to be in and out of periods of the game. They're going to be real good. They're going to let teams back in. I don't know whether they've can get an 80-minute performance together at the
Yeah.
moment. So I see more of the same from the Dragons. And Travojevic could be back this week. I just read before he's potentially
Yep.
back this week. That'll obviously help because I think Gerbo's out, concussed. So yeah,
We
it'll be a must watch on the Seagulls. I think moving forward.
we're going to get to the Monday game review shortly, but breaking news: Lachlan Galvin set to be recalled to the Tigers team this weekend.
Well, that's not unsurprising. I don't think.
You think so?
I don't think it's unsurprising. No.
I honestly expected there to be just more exclusions.
If they won, I reckon he would be still out. But the fact that they lost, they realise they still need him while he's contracted.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a good point. When it got to its nastiest late last week with talk of legal action and all this sort of thing, I expected him to be out the door within the fortnight. So,
yeah.
it's an ever changing landscape, isn't it? And if Isaac Moses had his way, he'd be out tomorrow. So, but I think that the Tigers, maybe they're doing it just to spite Isaac because clearly there's no love lost between the two parties, and they're saying, well, you got a contract, you're going to stick it out, which is kind of good to see from the Tigers digging their heels in. But just how Lachlan Galvin gets back on with these guys who were bagging him on social media just a few days ago, it's just a horrible mess, and I think the Tigers' season is just been destroyed.
I think
Yeah.
credit where credit's due. Benji Marshall and how he's handled the whole situation, and the fact that he's actually made the call to drop him over the weekend, because I think the ramifications of playing him would have been worse than if they put him in New South Wales Cup. But the fact that he's put everything aside that's gone on and gone for the betterment of the team and for a results purpose,
Yep.
Lachlan Garvin needs to be back in the side because I reckon 90% of coaches wouldn't have put him back in.
Oh, well, I think while he's contracted, he's the best 5'8" they got.
Mm.
So he's got to play. It's as simple as that. He might, the Broncos did that many years ago with Justin Hodges, don't forget. And I think Wayne Bennett's come out when Hodges went back to the Roosters. I think Wayne Bennett came out post that and said that it was a bit of a mistake to drop him down to reserve grade. So I don't see how dropping a guy is beneficial for the whole club.
Look, it's a business decision, isn't it? At the end of the day, whether it's for the benefit of Lockie Galvin's playing career moving forward and whatever, I think is airy-fairy.
Well, he's got the right to do whatever he wants. He's off contract, so he can do whatever the hell he wants. But it just hasn't been handled great. I still think he's gone within 6 weeks. I don't think he sees the season out in the Tigers' colours.
Yeah, I think. Look, he's obviously said he's not going to stay. He's the poster boy of the Tigers. They put a lot of time and energy into him. They'd rightly been probably a bit disgruntled by the decision, but the handling of just both parties has been shambles.
Well, it's typical Tigers, isn't it? They've handled stuff poorly for the last 10 years.
I mean, Jerome Luai, when he announced that he was leaving Penrith to go to the Tigers, Penrith did give him a week off, but there wasn't the media hype and Penrith come out and win another premiership. That's the difference between the Tigers organisation and the Panthers organisation.
Yeah, that's purely organisational, isn't it? That's not just the football department. That's the whole organisation itself.
Yeah. So anyway, moving right along, Bulldogs, Rabbitohs. We're just talking about it off air. What an awesome crowd, over 65,000 out there at a core. It's about time those crowds have gotten over 10,000 for a change. But look, honestly, amazing atmosphere. And as a Bulldogs player and supporter, you're dead set beyond cloud nine right now. I think they're the premiership favourites, no doubt.
No, without a doubt.
Right now.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, after the way Melbourne played on the weekend, I think up till this week we've all been saying, well, Melbourne's the benchmark and the team to beat. Well, now it's the Bulldogs. It's been turned on its head, and 32-0, I think it was. They were just awesome against. Admittedly, South had injuries, but they put them to the sword. They just never let them into the game, and Jacob Preston playing out of his skin. You got guys like Max King, unheralded guys just absolutely blitzing him. Toby Sexton, probably not in the first half dozen halfbacks in the game, but geez, playing well. And the back line's just functioning very smoothly. Bronson Cherry, I think he's playing his way into a Blues jumper the way he's going. So and Jacob Carraz, how do you leave him out of a Blues jumper? So they're playing great. And on that, I think the Origin could be a worry for the Dogs because they've got so many blokes in form. They're going to lose plenty of blokes.
Yeah, I'm keen to see what Laurie does there because obviously Critter's a right centre for the Blues. Kiraz, obvious choice, really, with Lomax out now. Who else is in contention? I mean, we're going to get to it in a few weeks' time when it gets a bit closer, but food for thought on that note. But even Hudson Young for the Raiders has been playing out of his skin, but he's a left edge back rower. Angus Crichton's the pin-up boy for the New Jersey. So, and he plays left edge. So what do you do there? You've got Amoli Olakawadu and Liam Martin both not playing fantastic on the right side. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I tell you what is a fact though. Queensland's in big trouble. I think.
No, we're not
this year.
Relax.
You don't think so, Dicko?
No.
I think we're in.
We are not anywhere near in trouble. We've got players back from last year. We're going to be better than last year.
I agree with Dizzy. I think they're in trouble. They got players. They've got players out of form. Whereas the Blues have got too many players to pick from. So
if we played Origin next week, we'd lose 30-0. Easy.
Which is the detriment to New South Wales because they've got too many to pick, and they generally pick the wrong ones.
I'll tell you what, though, mind you, Queensland, we are renowned, backs up against the walls, getting the job done.
Mate, we're fine. Just relax. We're all good.
I love the positivity.
We are all good.
I love it. Now, upset City right now. Dolphins 42-22 over the Storm, and then the Warriors 20-18 of the Broncos. Guys, in short summary, what do we make of the Storm and the Broncos right now?
Well, I must admit, the Storm Dolphins game was one of the most bizarre viewing games I reckon I've watched in terms of I've never seen Melbourne cut to shreds like that. What was it, 40 unanswered points?
Yeah, it was. Remember, it were to me the most significant point. It was 16-2 Storm, and I thought, oh, this is easy money. I was starting to
Storm
collect.
by how much? Yeah, absolutely. And then, after 25 minutes, it was just the Dolphins. I don't know sitting back sort of thinking about this game, the Storm weren't horrendous. Like the
No.
Dolphins, they just carved them up.
I think the Dolphins are just all right. Isaiah Katoa, how good's he going?
He played his best game of his career, I think, on that Friday night. He was brilliant.
And Herbie Farnworth just
And Cody
running
Nicarima, I
amongst-
thought was good too.
Yeah, I think Herbie's the form center of the comp. I mean, you've got your critters and guys like that, but every week Farnworth does it. And as a neutral fan, I love watching the Dolphins play. You know, like every time the ball goes to the hammer, you think, oh, here he goes again. And he never seems to break out of a trot. Those 3 tries he scored the other day, he was laughing, smiling, just jogging his way to the line, and they can't get near him. He's that quick.
Left center origin,
Good
thank
to
you.
yeah, no way. Not for the Englishman. So Warriors Broncos, 20-18. This was a bizarre game.
This was
from a neutral perspective.
Well, this was played in the most horrendous of conditions. Like, apparently New Zealand's had some sort of cyclone nearby, and it was remnants of. There was like 30-kilometer-an-hour winds, and it was raining cats and dogs. You know, it was to be honest, the quality of the game was okay considering the conditions.
Yeah, and credit to the Warriors here, because in all honesty, Dicko, you'll agree this as well. The Warriors probably should have won this by more than 2 points.
Yeah.
They
were the better team all night.
The Bronco, I think, what was it, like 18-6?
It was 18-4.
About 10 minutes to go or something.
Yep.
You always had it's like the Warriors. It's the same with the Dragons. They never quite get away from teams.
Well, it was 4 tries to 3. They couldn't buy a conversion. They scored 4 tries. You know, it was Broncos basket case, poor coaching, poor game plan.
And now Walsh is out.
Yeah.
Is that a blessing or a curse?
Well, to me, the game summed up Reece Walsh's season, didn't it? He did some good things, but he did some terrible things and ended up costing him the game. I mean, to put the kickoff of Golden Point out on the full, never been done before, probably never will be done again, was just unforgivable.
I think he tried to smash it because of the wind, and then
he was into the wind.
Just...
He was into the wind, and then he kicked it dead.
I mean, 60 meters into the wind.
Molly's correct. Like, he actually set up the second try and scored the third try to get him back in the game, and then, as Molly said, unfortunately kicks it dead. But in saying that, with I think a minute and a half to go, the Broncos had to play the ball inside 20, and Ben Hunt almost drops the pill, throwing it to Reynolds for a field goal. The game would have been over then. So it was a calamity of errors.
What do we make of Ben Hunt? Because
that was his worst game I reckon I've seen him.
Unbelievable. And the combination between Reynolds and him are both great players, but in sync. I felt like the last couple of weeks, still both great players in their own individual right, but not quite in sync. Sort of sticking to their sides of the ruck, not really.
I think Brisbane just have to simplify their game plan and just run. They just need to remove any flashiness and just run the footy. And we'll talk about it when we preview this week's game. I think Walsh out might be a blessing, and I'll explain it why when we preview. But yeah, we just need to simplify our game plan. Hunt needs to run the footy more, needs to stop worrying about feeding the outside men and just stick his head down and run, I think, and just try and simplify it, because at the moment they're just making errors and making it really difficult for themselves.
Yeah. It's almost
there's so much strike power there, but something's going wrong. Certainly the last few weeks. And as you said, Dicko, they were on fire early on when Reynolds and Hunt were combining and putting blokes away, but it's all crumbled the last few weeks. And
I feel like they've got a game plan and they're not sticking to it.
Well, they're at the moment, they're a very sideways team. You got Haas and Carrigan, who are laying a great foundation in terms of go forward, but it seems like when they're not there, the B players, if you like,
Mm.
your Jensens and your Willisons and all these guys, they're not providing punch. Like you look at Bulldogs in Melbourne and these sort of teams, and Penrith to an extent.
Yeah.
When their big dogs go off, the bench comes on and keeps that roll going. With Brisbane, they're not. And then when Haas and Carrigan come back out for their second stints, they're struggling to sort of turn the tide because there's
And
so
they're going
much
to play
momentum
catch
again.
up as well.
Yeah. So I mean,
chancing their hand a little bit too much.
yeah, and I
overplaying
think there's a few guys out of form. There's no doubt about it. I think Reynolds and Hunt's kicking game on the weekend was ordinary at best. Like seriously, they should have kicked the shit out of the Warriors, but they didn't.
Last tackle options were shocking.
Yeah, and I mean, credit to the Warriors. Like we're bashing the Broncos here, but Warriors had a young team and they just wanted it more. They were the better team all night, I thought.
Yeah, agreed.
Couple more convincing results to finish off the round. Panthers finally turned the tide on the Chooks, but very dubious calls.
I actually thought that flattered the score in the end.
Big time. Typical of Penrith, though. Typical of Penrith, like as in old Penrith. Not this season's Penrith by any stretch, but not playing that great. I still didn't think Penrith were like amazing. But they were in their groove and they stuck to their system and wore down the Roosters and bear the fruit towards the back end. Not without controversy, though, because the game was sort of in the balance there with about 20 minutes to go. And there was 3 or 4 calls that probably could have gone either way that went in Penrith's favour. Would have had an effect on the result? Probably not, but who knows? These days, momentum's huge. Well,
you've mentioned some calls, and I sound like a broken record every week, but I don't know whether you guys agree with me about what I'm going to say. But I reckon on the weekend was the worst officiating across 8 games of footy that I've ever seen in NRL. There was that much inconsistency, and it almost cost teams games. Like. I don't know how a player from Parramatta gets sin binned. Iongi. How does he get sin binned for that? Viliami Kikau on a Friday, hits a bloke in the face, splits him, and they've come up with low force. Now, I don't understand how it's low force when you split a bloke. And then Regan Campbell-Gillard, conversely, a few days later, hits a bloke in the nose. Same thing. Or he gets hit in the nose, sorry.
Yeah, he got hit in the nose, yeah.
And the bloke gets sin binned. I just don't understand because the NRL came out after the Thursday and Friday games to the bunker and said, look, you've missed a couple of big decisions here. Some of these should have gone to the bin. So then all of a sudden you've got mid-round bunkers being told by the NRL to get stricter. So what about the teams playing later in the round? They're all of a sudden officiated differently.
Well, it goes back to your point, Dicko, that you raised last week, I think, around having the same person for every game. I think that's so important because
I'll do it. I'll put my hand up. I can't be any worse than what we're seeing at the moment. And the worst call of the weekend came in that Panthers-Roosters game we were talking about, I thought, where Tedesco clearly took out his opposite Edwards chasing the ball, and they've said he just maintained his line. For every game this season we've seen that. It's been a penalty try, a penalty, a sin bin. I think because it's Tedesco, they thought, he's a good bloke, we'll let it slide. And that was a terrible call.
Well, I think it was weird because, I mean, obviously I'm a Panthers fan, right? But that decision wasn't a rule book decision. That was in my opinion, a common sense call of Edwards not being able to move from his line. He didn't take Teddy, like he took Teddy out, but he didn't shift his line to take him out. He was coming forward to the ball, held his ground, got taken out, right?
I was happy for that not to be a penalty try. I still thought it should have been a penalty.
Yeah, penalty. Yeah, but it's not a professional foul. It's like an accidental penalty.
Yeah, but it's not a play on. It's not a play on.
But all year it's been a sin bin, hasn't it?
That's right. And Mole is correct. Right. All year it has been a sin bin and or a penalty try. But what about the hip drop yesterday? That didn't make contact to the back of the bloke's legs. Did you see that?
Yeah, and that was a sin bin?
Yeah.
He got sin binned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He didn't even make contact. Like, I don't understand.
Like, and that's a bunker coming in post, and it's just
can you get in there, Mole? Please get in the bunker.
I'll do it. $500 a game.
Speaking of that fixture, so Raiders 30, Titans 20. Titans came out of the block 16-0. And then Raiders just came over the top of them. Titans,
Sign of a good
I,
team,
I
Raiders.
don't, yeah, I think it's a sign of both contrasting. A team with confidence and a team with no confidence.
So the Titans have got huge problems because now they've unearthed this De Groot, so they've got about 8 fullbacks, and they don't have a half or a 5'8",
And their best player's injured.
Yeah, so God knows what happens when they're all fit. Because I don't know whether you can leave that De Groot out. I thought he was excellent for the Titans.
Yeah, he was their most dangerous player.
Most dangerous player. You're right. Yeah, correct. But the Raiders just professional. Got it done. Got back into the game. Away again. Traveling.
Hudson Young, 3 tries, 2 games in a row, first since Beaver Menzies, and just playing the house down.
I tell you what, on form, you'd almost go Bulldogs, Dolphins, Raiders, and someone else, top 4.
I think the Bulldogs, Raiders, the Dolphins, not quite yet.
Well, on form, they've been on fire.
The Raiders.
We're talking Dolphins wouldn't spoon there.
Yeah, but the Dolphins have only won 3 games in a row. They've only won 3 games in a row. The Raiders have been good since round 1.
That's true. But on form, seriously, the Dolphins, like this week's fixtures, I'm keen to see who you blokes are tipping because, they come up against the Raiders.
Good game.
That'll be something.
So,
yeah,
absolute cracker. Just to summarise, guys, now, Sharks 34-14. The Knights.
Adam O'Brien, I think, needs to start looking elsewhere. I think he has to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, he won't go, so only because he just signed a rich contract not that long ago for 3 years. I just don't think they'll pay him out. But yeah, on form, their form's terrible. It's just abysmal. And I don't think it's a happy group. You look at the body language. Ponga's struggling, and when he struggles, the rest of them struggle because they, same as you mentioned with the Titans having 8 halves or fullbacks. Well, they got 8 halves, and they're all struggling. So, and he shuffles the halves every week.
Well, this is the thing. He's had 14 or 16 months to work out who he wants to play halfback and 5'8", and he still can't work it out. So I don't know. There's no style to the Knights. Doesn't seem like there's a with Penrith, how they're going to play. With Melbourne, with the Knights, you get something different every week. So yeah. I just don't know. I don't think he's getting the best out of the players. I don't think the players are getting the best out of him. I think the way forward for that club is to cut ties and move on. I think
the coach is definitely the issue here. Like 100%. In my own opinion, I believe that the Knights, the score lines haven't been great, right? Their attack's been shocking. But statistically, they have actually been okay. It's just when they get the ball and good ball, they have no idea what to do. And that comes down to the coach's decision to top and change the playmakers because they are what sets up the attack. And the only continuity there is Ponga. And without enough good ball, Ponga can't get into the game and threaten like he should be. And that is purely down to, one, the kicking game, because Gamble is not a kicker.
No.
Like dead set. He is shocking off the boot.
I'm not sure he's a halfback either while we're on.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what he is.
And I'll go back to it. Jackson Hastings needs to be put in the team. I don't care if they've had a falling out. Same with Benji and Lachlan Galvin. They clearly don't see eye to eye, but Benji's got enough balls to play him. Adam O'Brien needs to grow a set of nuts and play Jackson Hastings. It's as simple as that.
That's the one thing he's decided in his halves, that Jackson Hastings isn't the answer. And I tend to agree with you. I think he's got to go back to him. He plays a...
Look, he may not be the long-term answer, but his job's on the line now. So he needs to get wins. Yeah. They may not cut him because he signed that contract, but I tell you what, you don't want disgruntled players and fans either, because it's heading that way real quick. Luckily for the Knights, their draw is quite juicy the next 3 rounds. So if they don't string some wins together here, they are in all sorts. They play the Warriors. I believe Dylan Lucas is back, so that's one thing. Then they play the Rabbitohs, who are decimated by injuries. Then they play the Titans. So they've got a nice little run. Then they play the Eels. After that, that's 4 fixtures. Then they play the Bathurst fixture against Penrith. But that's, heading towards Origin time. Where
They need a lift.
they need to step up big time.
Well, the way they're going, they could lose every one of those games, and it is a good draw. But I just can't see them beating anyone because they can't score points.
No, you're right. They've scored what?
Yeah,
I think
right,
20 points in 4 games.
Yeah, it's a joke. It's a basket case.
Particularly when the West Tigers scored 22 points on the weekend and were pretty average, which we're going to talk about now. But Mitchell Moses, what a difference. What a difference.
Yeah. Oh, he's a heart and soul, isn't he?
22. They had 2 players in the bin.
Oh, that effort when they had 2 players in the bin for that 10-minute period, I thought if Jason Riles does nothing else this week but show them that 10-minute period, that's what they need to now build their game off moving forward, because I thought that was just effort on effort on effort. I think Addo Carr was at fullback during that period.
I reckon Addo Carr was probably their best player. Almost.
He was good. Addo Carr was good.
He came up with one great save, didn't he? An intercept near the end where the Tigers were stealing home. And if that pass had stuck, or if Taruv had just dummied past him, he would have scored, and the scores would have been level. So
look, in the last 3 or 4 weeks, I genuinely thought that is Addo Carr still got it. That was what was running through my head.
Yeah,
like I was thinking, is he still good enough to, start?
Yeah.
But the game on the weekend just
proves that he's still got some.
Well,
life
it proves
left in the leg.
what that he can do if he does put in the effort. Because I think a lot of the time, and confidence a big thing, obviously. But yeah, Mitch Moses they just look different. They just look completely different side.
Dylan Brown looks like a different player, doesn't he?
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, ran for over 200 metres, which for him is probably a career high.
Dylan Brown.
Yeah.
Huge. We are going to dive in to see what our thoughts are for this upcoming week. But before we do, just quick shout out to all our sponsors: High Caliber Racing, Create, Energy Pro, and Grip Socks. Thank you very much for your support throughout the year. No doubt this year is going to be a successful one. Magic Round coming up soon, where we're going to be doing a few little promotions with those companies, and Vegas locked in for next year. Those 4 teams, guys, what do we think? What do we got? The Bulldogs, the Dragons, the Knights, and the Cowboys.
Are we surprised Molly Parramatta's not going?
Oh, they'll get their chance eventually. I don't think Jason Riles will be too upset in that. He's relatively new to it. The teams that have gone to Vegas haven't set the world on fire when they've come back. I think the mistake they made this year was not having a Queensland team. So that's been rectified with the Cowboys, who've got a massive following. Big
following, those teams. Like there'll be some passionate. So
we don't know who's playing who. Is that right yet? We just know the 4 teams that are going.
Yeah. And that could still change. I don't know if it's locked in concrete. There hasn't been an official release from the NRL, but a leak from the NRL is as good as a release, isn't
it? Yeah, that's it. Well, the only other teams remaining are the Tigers, the Dolphins, the Titans,
and Parramatta,
and the Storm.
The Storm haven't gone.
No.
So they're the 5 teams that haven't gone. If those 4 teams go,
some teams aren't that keen. The Dolphins told me that they were invited to go this year as the Queensland team. They said no, because they were going through a lot with a change of coach and that sort of thing. So
that's fair enough.
It's I mean the fans think it's terrific, the players think it's terrific, but obviously the coaching staff and the officials are saying, well, just wait a minute, let's weigh this up. And Dolphins, that was a bit of a surprise, but then it kind of makes sense too.
Yeah. Now, round 8, guys, huge game to kick it off. Broncos versus Bulldogs, Thursday night footy. team lists haven't come out yet. They're due to come out in about 2.5 hours. Very interested to see which way the Broncos go here. I'm thinking Selwyn Cobbo to fullback, Dean Mariner on the wing. But
He will play fullback, yes.
can we see the Broncos upsetting the Bulldogs? I can't believe I'm even saying that.
Yes. 100%.
I agree. The Bulldogs have got to lose sooner or later.
Mhm.
It's in this season of crazy upsets, and the Broncos are capable of doing it. But having said that, I'll still tip the Bulldogs.
Hey, I love it. I love it, Dicko.
No, so the Broncos should get back Brendan Piakura as well. He should be another in. So that strengthens up the edge. Obviously Walsh should be out. Cobbo will play fullback. You can pretty much put your house on that. And what I sort of alluded to when I said it might be a blessing in disguise is that Selwyn is a very simple footballer in terms of he's a bash and barge player. All right? He runs it hard and it does a lot of work coming out of the backfield. So he will negate the flashiness that Walsh provides, and he will just build his game at fullback on hard running and high meterage, which is what I actually think at the moment the Broncos need. So I think the Broncos need the less flashiness from Walsh and the more hard grit running that Cobbo will provide.
I see where you're coming from, but I've got to say, Selwyn can be a bit hot cold himself.
He can be a bit hot cold.
Oh,
The other thing too is don't forget he is off contract, Selwyn, and hasn't got a contract yet. He does want to play fullback, so this is a must watch for the next 4 weeks. This is a really big opportunity for him if he is sort of fair income about his career to really grab this opportunity and make a team out there throw cash at him that he sort of can't refuse. Right. And make Brisbane potentially even think twice about what they're going to do recruitment and retention wise. So I definitely, they've got the weapons to win.
You are very bullish on the Broncos here. Are you going to lock them in though?
Yes. They are. They've got the weapons here to win Brisbane. Whether they can put it together for 80 minutes against a good team, because the Bulldogs aren't going to beat themselves. We know that. We've seen that for 7 weeks. They're not going to beat themselves. Brisbane probably need the Bulldogs to be probably 5 to 10% off on the night.
Yep.
To get a result. But if Reynolds and Hunt and Staggs and these guys play well, and Carrigan and Haas hold their own in the forwards, I think there's enough there that Brisbane can cause an upset. And it will be an upset because the Bulldogs are bloody good this year. So I'm going to tip the Broncos purely because they're my team, but I think they're going to win.
I'm on the fence. Honestly, I'm on the fence. I do want to lock in a tip though.
Well, you have to.
And I will be going for the Broncos. And I'm going for the Broncos purely out of the fact that the Bulldogs have been so dominant through their forward pack. And that's laid the platform for territory, kicking, lock him into corners, kick chase, blah, blah, blah. List goes on. That will not happen with Payne Haas and Paddy Carrigan. And they're going to have to find another gear to beat the Broncos purely because of the Broncos forward pack. And I actually think that the Broncos will be a better side with Cobbo at fullback and Dean Mariner on the wing.
Also, just don't discount. He may not be named in the 9, but do not discount Ben Hunt playing 9.
When's Ezra Mann back? 2 weeks.
He's not back yet, but just don't. I don't know whether he's watched the game as intently as what I did against the Warriors. Madge, with about 10 minutes to go, or 15 minutes to go, moved Hunt to 9 and Billy Walters to 5'8".
Billy Walters has been good.
Yeah, to just give it something a little bit different, And I think Blake Moser might be a chance to sneak in as well. If Madge goes again with 2 hookers on the bench, I might have to drive down the Red Hills through the week and have a chat to him. Because seriously.
Well, you've just picked about 4 hookers there.
Yeah.
Have him in the starting lineup. Utility. I tell you what, this is the game of the utilities.
Yeah, you're right.
Bulldogs have got about 85 utilities.
That's right, they do. Yeah, Kurt Mann's probably with Connor Watson, the best utility in the comp, I reckon.
All right, so Bulldogs, Moley, and Dizz and Dicko go on the Broncos. I can't believe we're agreeing. Yeah, good.
Either can I.
Roosters, Dragons. Another cracker. Another cracking game. This is Anzac Day. 3 games on Anzac Day. How good is it? 4 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 8 o'clock, pretty much.
Really? Yeah, right.
Roosters, traditional fixture, obviously.
Traditional fixture.
Of
Yep,
course.
yep.
The other two, not so much. But Roosters, Dragons. How are we looking here, Dicko?
Oh, I can't believe the Roosters are 16th. They're probably better than 16th. This is a tough one. I honestly, I don't know in this one. The Dragons they don't convince me with the way they play, but I would expect them to lift on Anzac Day. So, and the Roosters are still sort of fine. They're very Teddy Tedesco reliant, I reckon, at the moment. If there's not points coming from Teddy, I don't know whether there's points coming anywhere. So if the Dragons can do a job on Tedesco, I think the Dragons might win this in a close game. Wouldn't surprise me though, Diz, if this one goes to Golden Point and we have a real exciting game and finish. So I can see the Dragons in this one. I'm going to tip the Dragons in this one.
Yep. Molly, how are we looking?
Yeah, look, the Roosters, I think we all agreed at the start of the year they had a very thin lineup. They lost all these players, didn't replace them. Now they've had a rash of injuries on top of it, and I think that was shown last week against the Panthers. Nat Butcher's probably been their best player last couple of weeks. He lasted 5 minutes, and you thought they were always going to collapse after that. And I don't like the Dragons in that I think they won't make the 8. They're all over the place sometimes, but I think they've got enough big match power to get over this patched up Roosters team with a lot of rookies there who probably aren't ready for first grade quite yet.
I'll tell you what, the Roosters have found a front rower in that White, haven't they?
Fanu, yeah.
Oh, the Fahu White. Very
Yeah,
good.
he plays. Did I read that he played 65 minutes without a break?
Yep.
And he ran for over 100 and something meters too. Like they found a really good call. When Lindsay Collins come back, that's a good 1-2 punch right there.
He's next in line for vice captain, so to speak. I think he's part of their leadership group. That's how much.
Yeah, he's a what's the name? He's a real goer. I like the look of him.
He's actually run for 100 about 4 or 5 weeks in a row, which for a kid is pretty phenomenal.
Yeah. Yep.
He made the Kiwis last season as well.
Oh, did he?
Played quite well. So Molly, is that the Dragons? Are we locking in the Dragons there?
Yep, Dragons for me.
Dragons. Guys, Dragons as well. I think, and I have never said this before, Trent Robinson is getting out-coached, in my opinion. I think he is struggling as a coach at the moment. And I think he could have made some better decisions with his selections and rotations. And I have a funny feeling that Dom Young's on the chopping block this week, and I wouldn't be doing that. But because Billy Smith returns from suspension, so keen to see how that plays out because Nwanga Nitawaze was unbelievable.
Yeah, good player. He's turned into a good player.
And Robert Toya, I mean, how good was that scrum play against Penrith?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
That was unbelievable.
He's a good player, that Toya. I rated him.
So maybe Dom Young is the player that, isn't, quite up to scratch at the moment.
His defence has been very dusty. And
you could play Billy Smith on a wing.
Mm.
You could play him on a wing.
Let's look at it like this.
You could play Nwanga Tawazi on a wing.
Dragons' left edge attack has been unbelievable. Roosters' right edge defence shaky.
Yeah. Okay.
So that may be why Robbo's looking that way.
Mm-hmm.
But I just genuinely think the game plan of the Dragons, they're sort of like a bit of a KISS theory. Flanagan and Ilias don't really overplay their hand a little bit. Keep it simple, stupid. Toby Couchman, how good's he?
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
And the other guy, Tyrell Sloan, he's just loving Gutho chiming into the back line. Gutho gives a bit of time and space, and that's all he needs. He's away. I think he bagged 2 on the weekend, and he's
Valentine Holmes.
Career best form. Yeah.
Tyrell's he's a winger, isn't he? He's a winger. He's a genuine winger.
Yeah, he's a quick player that they tried to turn into a fullback, didn't they?
Yeah, he's a winger.
A lot of clubs have tried that. They tried David Armstrong at the Knights last year, just purely for pace. Didn't work. Fletcher Sharp didn't work. Yeah. Anyways, lock in the Dragons, eh?
Lock in the Dragons.
Last fixture. Oh, sorry, second fixture for Friday. Warriors Knights.
Yeah, this is the Warriors, mate. This is going to be the Warriors by a fair bit, I reckon. The Knights aren't going to travel well to New Zealand. But in saying that, it could galvanise them, but I still don't think they're going to win. No, I think the Warriors. I think the Warriors would have taken a lot of confidence out of last week against Broncos. And the conditions were heavy, so it'd be interesting to see how they back up. But I think...
It's in Christchurch, this one.
It's in Christchurch, yeah, I'm just reading that. No, I think the Warriors. The Warriors have shown me enough that they're a top 8 team. I know they're 4th, and it sounds pretty stupid to say, but I think come the end of the year, I don't think they're in the top 4, but I definitely think they're going to be in the top 8. I think they're around the sort of bottom half of the 8. The Knights are a basket case. If anyone tips the Knights, they know something that we don't because they're a basket case.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Warriors will win and win well. We just better check the wind conditions and see if that cyclone's gone.
Hopefully Reece Walsh isn't playing for the Knights.
Yeah.
Guys, I'm going an upset here.
Oh, righto. You are that far behind in the tipping comp. No wonder why.
No, I've picked up ground here. I don't know if you've looked, Dicko, but I am moving up the ranks. The Knights have got a couple of inclusions this week. I've got a bit of mail, and I think that will help their go forward and also their defence, in particular Dylan Lucas. And I genuinely believe that it's make or break for the Knights. And if O'Brien is serious about his coaching career, he'll make the necessary adjustments. And the Warriors, to me, are so hot and cold, and there's always been an upset every week. And this is the one that I've chosen for that upset. So lock in the Knights. Storm Rabbitohs. Oh, the Rabbitohs look bad, don't they? Yeah. They're struggling now. The injuries are catching up with them.
He's got some big decisions to make, Wayne.
Yeah, Murray's now out for the season.
That.
Poor fella had a setback with his Achilles injury. The Storm, though, they weren't good. Harry Grant out. Jack Howarth now out. Moses Leo, who was his backup, now out. So they're going to have to play Fire Logo and Bradley.
He was okay, though, Bradley. I thought he went well.
Yeah, he was all right.
Yeah. Big boy,
he's tall, isn't he?
Yeah. But yeah, no Harry Grant again.
Yep.
So, they really miss Harry. Harry gives them that direction out of dummy half. He makes a break or two a game, usually scores a try a game, sets one up a game.
Well, isn't it funny when the chips were down and their back was against the wall, Harry Grant's that player that you can sort of rely on around the ruck to sort of change the attack real quick, get a bit of a momentum shift, but also do that dog work in the middle. His communication, obviously, he's the captain. They don't have that. So if their back's up against the wall at any point, they could be, I don't know, on the ropes. But I just can't see the Rabbitohs causing too much issues for them.
Melbourne are not going to dish up what they dished up last week.
Surely not.
And it's in Melbourne. You very rarely see the Storm play a bad game in Melbourne.
Do you think the Storm can rock up to this one and really put on a clinic?
Yep. Yeah, I can honestly see the Storm putting 50 on the Rabbits here.
Hoi! Here we go.
No, seriously.
I like it. I like it.
Did you hear what Bellyache said in his presser? He was not happy.
F-bombs left, right, and centre, actually.
He wasn't happy.
And let's remember that stat. Every time they lose, and this has been for the last 3 years, they score 40 points the next week. And this is the ideal opportunity for them to do it because, as you say, Bellamy will have flogged them all week and made them watch that video.
Yeah. You're not going to want to be the Rabbitohs this week or a Rabbitohs supporter because I think you're in a world of pain.
Yeah. So
Bennett's got to make a couple of decisions, though, with this Rabbitohs team. He's got to work out where Latrell's going to play, and he's got to put Latrell there for the season. He can't keep moving him around. He's fading in and out of games. He's not a 5'8", all right?
Yeah.
He's either got to play him at fullback and get him involved, or he's got to play him at the centres.
I honestly think they start him at fullback, bring Jai Gray on with about 15 to go in the first half.
I don't care what they do. I hate the Rabbitohs, but they've got to get the best out of Latrell. He's their best player. He's on $1 million plus. They've got to what's the name? They've got to get the best out of him, and whatever that is, and wherever that is, that's where they've got to play him.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Lewis Dodd, they've got to work out, is he the answer? Because he hasn't looked at in what I've seen of him.
No, that's right. Yeah,
so Lewis Dodd and Cody Walker then potentially a combination this week, or do you think that
Cody Walker got taken off the field? Is he was he injured or was he dragged?
I think he had the shits.
Yeah, look, honestly, I'm not a massive fan of Cody Walker. Particularly as captain, he's not inspirational in my books. If I'm on his team and I have a look at it's how he reacts to setbacks that concerns
He's an angry
me.
man, isn't he? He gets angry, and the same can be said for Latrell. You know, the two of them, they don't take setbacks well, and that can be the sign of a player. You know, they're the senior players; they're the ones.
The sign of a leader is how they cope with setbacks, not how they galvanise themselves in great times. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's not what makes people a leader. So I'm really keen to see who, and they don't have Lockie Hubner this weekend. He's concussed, probably still. So
yeah, that was
look,
bad.
their depth in the forwards is shocking as well.
Yeah.
So I can see them getting steamrolled. I think that 40 points plus is a bit of a Nostra prediction this weekend. I think that's coming.
Absolutely. Yep.
All right, Queensland Derby, Cowboys versus the Titans, gents. I don't know about this one. The odds suggest very heavily towards the Cowboys, but
easy,
geez, really
easy. Cowboys.
You reckon?
Easy.
What do you reckon, Molly? You reckon Cowboys easy as well?
I think it's a danger game. If things go to plan, the Cowboys should win easy. But the Titans have got that in them, as they showed in the first 20 minutes the other day against the Raiders. They were red hot, like 16-0, probably could have been 20-0. And but then they crumbled, and that's what they tend to do.
Yeah, look, I love the logic, Dicko. Look, that Cowboys should win this.
Yeah, Molly is right. Molly is right. It's a danger game for the Cowboys, but they should win this easy.
The thing that shits me about the Titans is, and it kind of started that way, actually, against the Raiders. After the first 15, 20 minutes, you're thinking to yourself, oh, shit, the Titans are on here. But then
they fall in a heap.
A good sides, don't let that happen for 80 minutes. And as soon as Raiders got a bit of momentum, they
They just leak too many easy points, the Titans. You feel like you can score on them easy.
Yeah.
And I think the Cowboys back at home in Townsville, coming off a bye, I think they'll be primed. Confidence as well. They went into the bye playing some pretty good footy. Purdue, I think, is a revelation.
Good play.
And I think the Cowboys will win this comfortably. I don't think it'll be a cricket score, but I think they'll win comfortable enough.
My tip for this game, if you want to punt, is over. So I think both teams can score tries,
scoring game,
leak tries. So I can see it a 30-20 type score.
Yeah, okay.
100 tackle breaks. 50 each.
Yeah.
Tell you what, this is Turbo's back. Turbo's back for more reports. Panthers versus Eagles.
I love it. I love it.
I'm going to be tipping Penrith, but I would want to see another performance like last week. Otherwise, but I don't know. Look, Seagulls are playing quite poorly. Does Turbo change things? Yes, 100%. Will it be good enough to beat Penrith if they play like they did last week? Probably not.
I don't think you can tip either team with confidence in this game.
No.
I don't think you can sort of get out, any sort of logic about who you're going to tip. I don't think Penrith won 40-12 last week, but I didn't think they were that great, as you sort of alluded to. I thought the scoreline flattered them in the end. A couple of lucky tries. This is at CommBank, so this is their home game, isn't it? So this is...
Yeah, it's not a home game.
No, well, this is where it really affects them, I think. This is where not having the home ground does affect them a little bit, the Panthers. Yeah. I mean, all you're looking for as a Panthers supporter is just another step forward and build on the performance of last week. But at some point, Manly have got to show something, and it might be Penrith that bring out a performance in them. You're right, Travojevic back will definitely improve them. I just don't know. I'd love to listen to the Mole's take on this because I reckon he could sway me either way here. I'm not sure. What do you got for us, Molly?
Yeah, I think after last week, the Panthers have turned the corner. You know, that 1-5 was just ridiculous. You know, particularly after they went in Vegas. I mean, no one in the world would have tipped them to lose the next 5 games, and then they come out and show their championship qualities in spanking and admittedly depleted Roosters team. But I think that'll give them the confidence, and that's been lacking. Cleary's back playing the sort of footy we know he can. And yeah, I think they'll win and win well.
So if Penrith played the type of footy last week against a Bulldogs or a Storm or a Dolphins or a Raiders at the moment, would they have got away with the win last week? Do you think?
I think they would have, but not by 40. I think it would have been close, but I think they just showed enough. I mean, they're still missing the guys they lost over the summer, the big 3, and you know they're gone, and life will have to go on. But you know they were just lacking a bit of mojo, a bit of confidence, and it all came together for them. They had some lucky calls, admittedly, and you know a good side. That's all you need, and away they go.
So yeah, I'm going to tip the Panthers, but with zero, as I said, with zero confidence in sort of the form that they've showed. So I will stick with them. I just think they'll be too strong in the big moments. But yeah, I don't have a lot of confidence in this one.
Yeah, lock in the Panthers and Molly Panthers by 30 plus. Raiders Dolphins.
You are kidding.
Molly, Dolphins got a sniff here?
Yeah, I think so, definitely. I think it could be the game of the weekend.
Yeah.
You know, two teams in form, two teams with a lot of strike power. I'm almost tempted to tip the Dolphins. Where's it at? Down in Canberra?
It's in Canberra, yeah.
Yeah, well, if it was a Redcliffe, I'd be tipping the Dolphins. In Canberra, I'll go the Raiders. I just think the hometown factor. It's getting a little bit chilly down in Canberra too, and the Dolphins are used to that nice sea breeze at Brisbane. So I think they'll struggle down there, and I think it'll be a real tight tussle. Both sparkling backlines. Both got guys who can score length of the field tries, but provided they keep the hammer under control, they have a good kick chase game to him, which Fogarty does give them.
Yes.
I think the Raiders.
Well, because you just didn't agree with me on Penrith's form line just before, I'm going to go the Raiders. Very convincingly.
Yeah, okay.
No, because it's at home. They're going to lift. They're going to lift at home. They've had barely any home games. They'll want to put on a good show. The Dolphins, historically, in their short existence, haven't travelled well. So I think the Raiders.
Well, it'll be a test to see whether it was a one-off or whether they can replicate what they did last week.
I'd be taking the Raiders 13 plus if I was anyone out there and they wanted to nibble.
Well, lock in the Raiders. Oh, that makes 3 of us. Yeah, lock in the Raiders. Only home ground advantage is the reason. I'm the same as Mole. If it was in Suncorp or at KO, I would go the Dolphins. But lock in the Raiders purely because they're at home. Tigers versus the Sharks. I'm so tempted to go the Tigers.
Oh, you know what? I'm going to go. I'm going to lock in the Tigers.
Yeah?
I'm going to go them. Yep.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I like it.
I think
you've lost your mind.
I don't know. I just think. Oh, I don't know. It's Galvin.
If Lockie Galvin comes back in the team and they win this and win this well, or not well, but
no, I think they win.
They win.
I don't think the Sharks are going that well. Even if they're without the turmoil of the situation with the Galvin and the
Leichhardt Oval as well.
I reckon I'd still tip. I reckon I'd still tip the Tigers in this. So
Luai's not going to pass him the ball.
Yeah, look, there's too much. There's too much going on. I think Benji's done this. This is my thoughts. Benji's done this deep down, subconsciously hoping that it goes to shit.
And he has to
so
drop
that then
him
he can get rid of him for good. Yep, that's my thoughts. Yep.
No.
That's how I'd be thinking as a coach.
And that's fair enough.
If I was Benji.
That's fair enough.
But
No,
yeah, lock in the Sharks.
I'm locking the Tigers in. Lock them in.
Lock the Tigers. Oh,
The
you got the
Tigers.
Sharks. You got the Sharks.
Sharks for me, yeah, fairly convincingly. I think the
By
Tigers.
Mozza.
I think their season's just imploded. I think it's all over.
All over for the Tigers completely.
Yeah,
You reckon?
yeah. There's no coming back from.
Well,
Oh,
he's
could
right.
be, could be.
Molly
Yeah.
is right here. This has the potential to rip the heart out of the club. Yeah,
Yep.
this situation.
I think the Parramatta game half ripped it out. Now it's sort of sagging there, waiting for the Sharks to just bite it out totally.
Oh, I love it.
What a way to finish.
What a finish.
Enjoy the round, gents. Thanks, fans, for tuning in. We'll touch base next week when we preview Magic Round.
Thanks, mate.